One of my favorite things to do is to listen to people tell stories. I love hearing people talk about events or relationships that are important to them, that have made them who they are, that have formed them, that have helped form their identity. Listening to a story, picturing it, it helps you understand the person more fully and deeply. And so, to honor today's Christmas pageant, I would love to share with you a story about one of the Christmas pageants I remember quite well. I was 7 years old, and I was a very confident and full of life child. I was in the children's choir at church and was really excited as we had been preparing for that year's Christmas pageant. We had so many songs to sing that year, including Around. At that time, I loved singing my heart out as loud as I could, but that round kind of just messed me up. I kept getting confused and singing the wrong parts or the wrong notes. And so I devised a plan. When we would start our part of the round, I would shove my fingers into my ears and just sing the song until it ended. And believe it or not, it did not work well. Not only would I shove my fingers into my ears, I would also close my eyes, and so I could concentrate super extra hard and sing the part perfectly. And because of that, I didn't know when our choir director would stop us. I wouldn't know if we were skipping to a different part. I didn't know if I was singing over the other children or singing off key. Our choir director kindly invited me to stop doing this so that I could be part of the choir, one of the many voices. But I wanted to be highlighted. I wanted to stand out. I wanted to sing and not mess up and get all of the applause. Needless to say, I was disappointed when I was not given the starring role, but instead that of the shepherd in the ensemble. No big deal. I still had a plan. When Christmas Eve came, I got all dressed up and positioned myself on the table right in front of the microphone. As the other kids filled in, I wouldn't move. And if I had to scoosh a little to the left or to the right, that microphone followed me. I moved it. I adjusted it. I was determined that everyone would hear me sing. Well, the pageant came and I sang my heart out very loudly, off rhythm of the round and out of key, and I was proud. And after the pageant, my choir director came up to me to let me know that we have a children's handbell choir, and that maybe I should join that instead. Yeah, I got the point. Singing wasn't my thing, and that's okay because I loved playing handbells. And to this day, I still love listening to them and being immersed in the music. Today is about storytelling, hearing and seeing the stories of Jesus. In the pageant, we hear and see the story of God's inbreaking into humanity in the baby Jesus. In our gospel today, we have the disciples of John the Baptist questioning if Jesus is the one whom they've been waiting for. And Jesus replies, "Report what you have seen and heard. Report back the stories of what has happened, what people have experienced." It's all about stories. Right before today's gospel, Jesus sends the 12 disciples out to spread the good news, to share the stories of God and Jesus, and in return, to hear the stories of the people and the places they visited, and then to provide for the people based on their needs, to meet them where they are, to listen to them, and then to provide for them. And this is the call that is still placed on us today, to meet people where they are, to listen to them, to listen to their stories, and then work to meet their needs. This is what it means to be the body of Christ in the world, to do what Christ and the disciples did, to meet, to listen, to provide. And honestly, it can be hard. The disciples even encountered issues with this. They were shunned, they were treated with hostility, they were run out of town. But they didn't give up, and nor should we. This manger, this pageant, this gospel, this Messiah, show that it isn't about us. It isn't about making sure that microphone is focused directly on us and our experiences and our voices and our stories, but that as we move the microphone, we place it in front of others, especially others whose voices never really get amplified. And then we listen, we accompany, and we minister with them. We help others get what they need, what they tell us they need. God's inbreaking in the person of Jesus and Jesus' divine mission, the mission that John's disciples were asking about, is centered on others. It is centered on lifting up the lowly. It is centered on giving voice to the ones whose voices don't have microphones. It is sitting down and taking the time out of your busy schedule to show someone that they are important as you listen to them and to their stories. Because by listening, you learn. You learn who the person is, you learn what they value, you learn what is important to them, and you learn how to love them just as they are. You learn to see them as God sees all of what was lovingly created. So, thank you for listening to my story today. I look forward to hearing more of your stories in the future and even creating new stories with you while we continue to explore and listen to God's story, including the story of the manger, the stories that were brought back to John, the story that is still unfolding, the story that we are all a part of, as we continue to be God's hands and voices and ears in the world.